Hey, welcome to another episode of the Rob Report. I'm your host, Robert BOBTV Brown. Before we get into this segment, by the end of this video, I want you to do a few things for me. First of all, if you like the video, hit the like button. Please do. If you don't like it, hit unlike. It's okay. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Sometimes, as Jimmy Dole would say, you find yourself unsubscribed and you need to make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell right next to it so you can be notified when a new video is being dropped. Whoop, there it is. And more importantly, the super chat will be on for this segment. So if you want to donate toward the efforts of Bob TV, that's freely up to you. I do have a job, but any amount will help toward the growth of this channel. And more important, let us help you help us by introducing you to a program. There's a link down below that says Equal Justice for All. You're going to click that video link and there's some educational tutorial about a phenomenal program in America that is really making equal justice a reality for every citizen. So this program is phenomenal. The proceeds from you participating in the program will go back, 10% will go back into the Bob TV YouTube channel. So anyway, my name is Robert Brown with the Rob Report. Let's get into it. Hey, good day. Welcome to another episode of Rob Report. I am your humble host, Robert Brown. How you doing today? We just did a report on the celebration of John Bolten being fired by Trump. One of the great fires that I agree with Trump on, because I thought he should have been fired a long time ago. I'm surprised he lasted this long. I did a video about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that he eventually was going to get fired by Trump because Trump is trying to go this direction, and they busily tried to tie him up and pull him down that direction. And anytime Trump is trying to have relationships with dictators, that means Trump is trying to garner peace. Anytime Trump say, oh man, people look at it bad that Trump has a relationship with this madman. And Trump will wind down the troops in Syria and not go the route of trying to topple down Assad, despite allegations of him doing things to his people. And Trump is doing the same thing when it comes to Iran. And Trump hasn't went full force on Maduro and putting Maduro in the place of taking over Venezuela. I think the reason why Trump went that far in those areas is because of that fool right there, John Bolton, Elliot Abrams, and Mike Pompeo. Clearly, Trump is trying to appease to his base, who said that he would not go to war and that he was going to run down troops. It's one thing I can say about Trump. He is trying to fulfill his promises. Democrats not going to let him. And good on them, because some of those promises are crazy promises and you got to stop him from fulfilling it. Well, winding down the troops is one of his promises. And ending regime change wars, he promised that he was going to do some things about it. There's a lot of things he's promised. Some of them he have not tried to make good on. Some of them he have been trying to make good on. And he just haven't been able to win in those situations. Now, I'm sitting up here watching Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson actually had the nerves to say that John Bolton is to the left of Trump, that he's more progressive, like regime change war determines whether you're progressive or not. What he's trying to do is paint that progressives are pro-war. No, Tucker Carlson, no. But let's watch this and hear what Tucker has to say.
Got fired this morning, as you no doubt have heard. It's a major personnel change, but it's more than that. It is great news for America, especially for the large number of young people who would have been killed in pointless wars if Bolton had stayed on the job. They may not be celebrating tonight, but they should be. International oil prices, by the way, on the international market dropped immediately on the news. Investors knew for certain that Bolton planned on launching yet another Middle Eastern conflict that would inevitably spike energy prices. No doubt some energy speculators were disappointed to see Bolton go. Certainly many people in Washington were disappointed. Senator Chris Murphy, who's a Democrat from Connecticut, progressive one at that, tweeted that he was, quote, legitimately shaken to see John Bolton leave the White House. Samantha Power, you remember her, she's the Obama official, primarily responsible, among other things, for the historically catastrophic destruction of Libya, the move that flooded Europe with refugees. That official, Samantha Power, told reporters today that the firing was a very troubling sign. Believe it or not, a number of Republicans made similar noises. Senator Mitt Romney himself declared that he was, quote, very, very unhappy that Bolton was leaving. Romney went on to describe the outgoing national security advisor as, quote, a brilliant man with decades of experience in foreign policy. Romney didn't say much about this experience. He wasn't specific about it. Why? Probably because none of Bolton's experience in the end helped America. Romney's right. Bolton has, in fact, been on the scene for decades. All of us are suffering the consequences of it. But whatever. Details like that make no difference at all in Washington. In Washington, nobody cares what kind of job you did, only that you did the job. Nobody there learns from mistakes because mistakes are never even acknowledged, ever. John Bolton himself took this form of selective amnesia to an art form. Watch him perform it on this show. So you've called for regime change in Iraq, Libya, Iran, and Syria. In the first two countries, we've had regime change, and obviously it's been, I'd say, a disaster. I think we agree.
No, I don't agree with that. And let me.
You don't think it's been a disaster?
No, I think you need to understand. Is that life is complicated in the Middle East, and when you say, well, the overthrow of Saddam Hussein was a mistake, is simplistic.
I would argue that I'm the one who understands how complicated it is, but just my view.
It's your long experience in foreign policy, I know.
Better record than yours, I would say. Did you catch that? Rather than justify or even explain his own record, Bolton instead brags that he's spent a lot of time on the job. If you're wondering why so many progressives are mourning Bolton's firing tonight, it's because Bolton himself fundamentally was a man of the left. There was not a human problem John Bolton wasn't totally convinced could be solved with the brute force of government. That's an assumption of the left, not the right. Don't let the mustache fool you. John Bolton was one of the most progressive people in the Trump administration. And by the way, naturally, once he was ensconced there, Bolton promoted Obama loyalists within the National Security Council. That shouldn't surprise you either. From the very first day, John Bolton operated as, in effect, a fifth column within the Trump White House. We warned about him frequently on this show. When the president calls for peace with a heavily armed nuclear power, that is considered treason. But when the national security advisor calls for yet another pointless war, that's just elite consensus, and it's fine. A lifelong neocon, Bolton repeatedly has called for toppling the Iranian government again and again, though tellingly he's never suggested what might replace the Iranian government once it's toppled. To this day, Max Boot takes a paycheck from the Washington Post. Bill Kristol appears on MSNBC. John Bolton is this country's national security advisor. There were no consequences to their foolishness and their dishonesty. None. Yes, Mr. President, John Bolton does want to get you into a war. It's all he wants. It's what he dreams about. Many wars, if possible. And if you're not careful, he'll do it. In between administration jobs are always cushy think tank posts, paid speaking gigs, cable news contracts. War may be a disaster for America, but for John Bolton and his fellow neocons, it is always good business. We invited John Bolton on the show tonight. He did not respond to the invitation, which is a shame, but he's always welcome here. That's a sincere invitation. But in some ways, the story isn't simply about John Bolton. It's about the countless John Boltons who currently staff the federal bureaucracy. Deeply mediocre lifers, drunk on hubris, protected by bulletproof job security. They're more likely to die on the job than be fired, and they know it. As a group, these people have done an awful lot to make this country poorer and sadder and more divided. The actual John Bolton is gone, likely forever. The question tonight is, will he be replaced by another John Bolton just like him? And unfortunately, there are signs that that's possible. And in fact, in Washington, it's always possible. Change is not always for the better. Don't lie to yourself. Apparently on the short list tonight to replace Bolton is the president's special representative for Iran, Brian Hook. Hook may be a good person. He's also an unapologetic neocon. Sources say he has undisguised contempt for Donald Trump, as John Bolton did. And he particularly dislikes the president's nationalist foreign policy, which is one of the reasons people voted for Donald Trump in 2016. One administration official recalls Hook announcing that, quote, I think the president is reckless and doesn't understand policy. Another source heard him directly say something very similar to foreign officials at a conference abroad. A choice like that, and Hook, by the way, is not the only one, not even close. A choice like that is really no choice at all. It's more John Bolton with the same predictable, disastrous results. At least Mitt Romney and the energy speculators will be happy, but the country won't be served.
Now, I am not a fan of Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is a libertarian, and libertarians, they don't do the regime change war thing. But Tucker Carlson is trying to paint the picture that progressives do military intervention. That John Bolton is a progressive. The reason he say that is because a lot of Democrats are saying they're progressive when most Democrats are not progressive. There's about maybe less than 5 progressive Democrats in the entire Capitol Hill. 5. And when I say progressive, true progressives don't like war. They are not nowhere near interested in changing the regime. Real progressives are usually the type of people that say, y'all handle y'all own business, we handle ours. Don't step on this. Don't step over the line. You do you. We gonna do us. The only thing we respect concerning each other is that we respect the people that live there. So we don't want to see you dog out your people, and we don't want you to see us dog out our people. We want you to do right by the people. We're going to do right by the people. We're not going to step over that line. You do you, we do us. That's a progressive, Tucker Carlson. So no, John Bolton is not progressive. Matter of fact, John Bolton is a white right-wing extremist. And the Democrats that are into regime change war are lightweight Republicans with right-wing extremist views. Leftist extremists are nowhere near pro-war. So you don't confuse the Hillary Clintons. Don't confuse with the Nero Tandons. Don't confuse most of these hawks in Washington D.C. like Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein and all them fools. Don't you dare compare them to real progressive, because most real progressives not even party affiliated. You got progressives in thinking in the Libertarian Party. You probably have some Republican. And I always talk about voters versus party leaders. They're progressive Republican voters. There's progressive Libertarian, some Democrat voters now, some non-affiliated, some third party. They're everywhere. You can't put them in a bunch. John Bolton is not a progressive. Now, as far as this guy that he said is going to take John Bolton's place, he said the guy that him and Trump already don't see eye to eye. Let me tell you something. It's a pattern. If Trump and you don't see eye to eye, you ain't going to keep your job, bro. Trump is not going to see it your way. He's going to see it his way. Trump is not, I keep telling you, Trump never been a Republican. Trump is his own party. He been playing both sides of the fence all his life. Kissing Republican behind and kissing Democrat behind, trying to win business favors through both parties. There ain't no Republican, he ain't no Democrat. He is his own party. He is a Trumpican. And as a Trumpican, he gonna do whatever he can for himself. So he'll get some advice, but it seems like it's going a direction that he don't feel right with it. He gonna have a talk with you, and then if you don't like it, then he gonna tell you, either you're going to resign or I'm going to fire you. And that's what happened to John Bolton. He didn't like the direction that Trump was going with the Taliban and a whole host of other things, not going forward with the regime change war in Venezuela, not going forward with the regime change war in Syria and Iran. Bolton didn't like that. Trump said, peace out, bro. You're not going to push me. Now, so come on, Tucker Carlson. Another thing about Tucker Carlson, he's wrong on most issues, but when he's right, he's right. In a lot of these areas, he is totally right on. Spot on. Spot on. But don't get it twisted. Republicans are not anti-war. You may be anti-war, Tucker, because you're a libertarian and you don't see the sense of it, and you guys are tight on the dollar. You like to lock that. You don't want to spend money, unnecessary money, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with spending money as long as you spend it in the right place, especially when you got it, you invest it. You don't want to do no spending. You want to cut back and just let the government pile up the American people money and don't do nothing with it. The bottom line is it just really blow me away when him and John Bolten don't like each other. He got that last stick in on John Bolten because John Bolten really think he knows everything. That's why John Bolten is one of the biggest white supremacists in modern day history. His job is to strategize and plan to infiltrate African countries and minority countries, to go in there and decimate those countries, leave them either hanging for dry or suck it for all his own resources. That's John Bolten. He's always been like that. He is I wasn't surprised if he don't have a hood, white hood and a white outfit in his closet. He is as racist as they come. I don't even think the Klan even want him. Klan probably say, bro, you too racist for us. God dog. John Bolten. And Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, and don't sleep on Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson you listen to Tucker Carlson, you can see hints of white supremacy in his behind too. So he is not a friend of black people. He's not a friend of most minority people. And I've met the guy a couple times outside the studio. So Tucker, sorry man, I call it that it is. You're elitist. And don't even mention reparations around him. He'll probably turn red. Don't even mention, boy, if you mention reparations to John Bolten, he gonna make this face. What? What? All right, so that's that on that particular segment of the Raw Report. I just want to let it be known, Tucker Carlson, ain't no way you gonna paint this fool as a progressive because you believe Democrats are claiming to be progressives like you guys claim to be conservative. These Democrats are not progressive. They're conservative. Most of them running right now is conservative. Elizabeth Warren, former Republican, she's conservative. She's just going to be a little tight and hard on you guys on some issues like Obama. She is Obama 2.0, and I'm going to deal with that in a few minutes. But don't you dare lump that fool in the boat with us. He is way to the right. He's so far right that he's tight. His face is, if right was a wall, he would be glued in the imprint of the wall. So go ahead with that stuff, Tucker Carlson. Well, Robert Brown with the Rob Report. I'll holler at you later. Really, dude? John Bolten, a progressive? Most Democrats are not progressives. There's only about less than 5 in Washington, D.C. that's really progressive. The rest of them are neocons and neo-lib hawks that will fit right in the Republican Party.